What's up, Nation? Welcome to another WiseTake Nation podcast. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I am joined by the triple OG of the WiseTake Nation, Mr. Patio Joe. You can find him on Twitter at Patio Joe Ref because he is a ref. Joey, what's happening, bro?
Not much, man. I actually have my ref season started up in about a week or two, and my first game. So I actually have the school that Jimmy Clausen, quarterback. Remember Jimmy Clausen, the quarterback?
I do remember Jimmy Clausen.
Jimmy Clausen. I actually have his high school week one.
Oh, shit.
So yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be a good matchup. It'll be nice. And I'm doing the field is all blue field. It's like the Boise State field.
Like boys. That was weirded me out. Like it's like I kind of like it when I first see it. I'm usually like, oh, that's cool, and then like when they actually watch a game on it, I'm like, this is just weird. Like I feel like I'm watching it like they're like in Smurf territory or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like weird. I don't know. It's different. It's different. I respect it because it's different, but also think it's kind of strange, but that's cool. Refs, the ref game going strong. I know you used to do college, right? You had to like.
Yeah, I did Division III and Division I AA.
That's tough, bro. That's tough because you guys get blamed for everything, man. Not that refs don't make mistakes; they're humans. But like, regardless of whether the ref made the right or wrong call, somebody's criticizing you. It's just saying, like, like even if it was the clearest call in the world. Some like dad is sitting there like jerk off, like you know what I mean? Like he's blind, you know what I'm saying? Like that's.
Oh yeah, it's a problem. There's less and less numbers are down with officiating.
People don't want to do
it. People just don't want to do it. In the high school level, I mean, replay has now moved down into the high school level now.
Right.
Like there's in the championship games now, there's instant replay.
Wow, no shit.
Like I'm
in high school.
No yes.
Shit.
They passed the law this year that if they want to use it, they have that option.
Wow.
And it's just, I agree, but at some point, it's about human error. It can happen, and you're gonna dissect something, and you could find something, but you're not gonna have 20 different camera angles at a high school game. You're gonna have one or two. So. It's tough, and I understand everybody wants to get the call right and everything, but most of the time, us officials were right. Our first instinct was right. And most of the time, that's what we go with on officiating. Right. I usually go with my first instinct. If it's there, it's there, and if it's not, if I have to think about it, I usually hold off on the flag. And my biggest theory, my biggest thought in officiating football, and it usually happens this way, except for maybe in the NFC Championship game this year. You're usually remembered for the calls that you make rather than the calls that you don't. So it's like keep the flag in your pocket, basically. You know what I'm saying? Except for the NFC title game. You know what I mean? Like let the kids play, a little bit. Right. But I know that like if you throw too many, like people are like, whoa, man, you always remember, oh well, and then he threw that foul. You're not really remembered for the ones that you miss.
Right. Except for the Saints one, because they basically made a whole new rule because of that asshole. You know what I mean? Like thanks to him, we've got this ridiculous. Like, come on. You could challenge a pass interference. Really? I thought they were trying to speed the game up. You know what I'm saying? Like that was. Yeah. But I do agree with you.
We could do a whole like segment on that entire play as an officiating like. I could break down the play and how I could say like how my biggest thing is that if you were to move that play to the midfield instead of it was on like the 15-yard line when that play started. If you moved it to like midfield, that the pass interference would have been called.
Right.
And people are like, how? Well, how do you move that? Because as an officials, we have mechanics of what we have to do. The covering official is a side judge. Usually when the play goes off, when the play starts and there's a pass play, the side judge moves down the field, makes his view bigger to see more. The further you are, the wider you are, the more you can see. This official, because the ball was snapped inside the 20-yard line, this official had to stay on the goal line. So thus, when the play came to him, it was more compressed. And in officiating, sometimes, believe it or not, the closer you are to sometimes, you can miss it. That if you're further away, you have more of a broader view. That's why, a lot of times when you look at umpires and stuff, they're a little bit further away from a play, or the first base umpires are a little bit further away, or such like that. In officiating, if he would have moved down the field like you would if it was in the middle of the field, he would have seen more of that and would have seen maybe the hit and the ball not there right when it happened. But when he was so close to it, it was really bang, bang, and he missed it. And that's why he missed it. I completely know, because I've worked that position in college I worked it for, almost 10 years. So I know you can't move off that line if you're in goal line mechanics. So he couldn't do it. So if it would have snapped in the 50-yard line, he would have moved downfield. He would have seen that. He would have been pass interference. They would have moved down the field. But because it was there, it was. I could see why he missed the call. It was tough. It wasn't as such an egregious miss as people say it was. That's just one bit. That's just one bit of the whole situation. I can talk about the other officials too. There's other officials involved in that play, but the major one, that's why he missed it.
Man, by the time we clip this, you're gonna be like the most hated man in New Orleans. Right? Like, come on. No, but in all honesty, that's like, that's interesting perspective, because everybody always kind of assumes that, like, oh yeah, you got to get up in there. But you're right. When you look at like a first base umpire, he is a little far back. When you look at the umpire at shortstop or second base, whatever, he is a little further back. And honestly, like you talk about guys that are close. One guy who is close is the home plate umpire. And how many calls does that guy miss every single time, whether it's for the pitcher or for the hitter? Tons of bad calls. Like, they have that freaking strike zone thing nowadays on TV, like Statcast, that's like supposedly pretty accurate. And how many times do you see this thing outside of that thing by like a good 3 inches and like it's just like, strike? And how many times do you see it go like pretty much right down the middle and they call it a ball? It's interesting perspective, because those guys, again, they're kind of right on top of it. Like, they're watching everything. And yeah, it's definitely interesting perspective.
Like, people honestly thought, like, wow, how could you miss that? How could you do it?
I'm looking at it like, what? I'm like,
as an official, like, I literally, like, it's funny when I watch a game and something like that happens. I don't think like, okay, why did he miss it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not he missed it. It's like, why? What happened? I know he didn't miss it because he was trying to make sure the Rams won. That wasn't.
Are you sure? You sure he didn't have money on the Rams that day? Are you sure?
I guarantee it. Okay, even though he was from Southern California, trust me. All right, like, it's just the fact in officiating. It's like, why did he miss it? Why did you do something? Did you have bad mechanics? Were you not thinking? Did you have a lapse of judgment? You know what I'm saying? Like,
was he drunk?
A buddy of mine had an inadvertent whistle in like a championship high school game, right? You ever had, an inadvertent whistle where it's like they blow the whistle when it's not supposed to be blown, and the play's dead.
Oh.
Inadvertent whistle, right? You know what I mean? Oh, I thought it was a fumble.
I think it's inadvertent.
Inadvertent.
Yeah.
No, an inadvertent whistle, right? So like the guy had an inadvertent whistle, and I like rewound the play like 10 times. I'm like, why do you have an inadvertent whistle? Well, you had the whistle in your mouth when the play went off.
He was just breathing heavy. He was just like, he was just breathing heavy because the play started and he was getting mad into it. He was like, he just had the whistle in his mouth. That's so funny.
Yeah, so
shit.
It's like they say, like, get the whistle out of your mouth at the snap. So there's reasons why officials miss the call, and it's not because they want to see another team win or not. So But anyways, what were we talking about? I know that was a big
Oh no, man, that was it's not every day I get to talk to a ref. Well, I guess kind of every day. Just about every day I talk to a ref, but I don't usually use you from that perspective. I try to, the football season especially. I try to get your perspective on things sometimes, because I'm very much in like the, like at my softball games, I'm super nice to the ump no matter what. Even if I feel they were wrong about something, because I'm like, this dude, if it wasn't for this dude, my ass wouldn't be able to be here and hit these balls and stuff. So you know, not that I didn't like the ref, but like when I have money on a game or something like that, or like fantasy, whatever, and I see a ref or an ump make a bad call or what I perceive to be a bad call, I lose my shit. Like I'm just like I all of a sudden hate this guy, and then like the next day it's cool. It's like nothing happened, right? It's like what did I say about you on Twitter? I'm so sorry, dude. I don't know where that came from. You know what I'm saying? But like at that moment, and I think that pressure, and we talk about like with the younger generation, right? Like millennials, for instance, everybody's saying they can't handle pressure. So like that is like a super key. Like bro, like for instance, speaking of which, what's his name? The Jets kicker, who used to be the Jets kicker, not anymore. He retired. He's 20 years old. He retired. He missed 2 extra points and made 1 field goal in the preseason game and just sent him out. Like I have a feeling a lot of this stuff has to do with pressure. I think like, and it's the same thing you had mentioned that like not as many people want to be a referee. It's because people don't want that. The younger generation, I don't think wants that pressure. And I think we're gonna see the same thing happen with kickers, bro. Like the NFL really fucked them by moving the extra point back. Like when they made it a little hard, they really screwed these guys, man. Like that's the one kick that like everybody expects to be money. And if you think about it, the job of a kicker is terrible to me. Like, the money's good. Don't get me wrong, and it sounds good in theory because like you're least likely to get hurt. You're gonna go out there and kick the ball, and you could get hurt, but you know what I'm saying. But think about this: you only come in when it matters the most. Like your job when you come in is to score points, no matter what, at any situation, whether it's to win a game, tie a game. Like you're just sitting on your ass, just kicking a ball into a little net all day. And you might not even have one opportunity for a field goal. And then all of a sudden it's like, dude, it's 0-0. Like, we have a chance to win the game. You got to make this 50-yard field goal. Hope you're warm. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? And like,
and it might not even be his fault.
The holder's got to hold it. The line's got to fucking be there. There could be wind blowing. Like, fuck that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, but like, that's oh my, death threats. Those are the guys. It's like, for every like Le'Veon Bell that drops a ball in the end zone and costs some dude fucking, you know, 30 grand because he bet on the Jets that day. For every guy that sends Le'Veon Bell a death threat or something, imagine how many the kickers must get. Because people already like think of them as like, oh, I'm on the football team. Oh yeah, what position do you play? I'm a kicker. It's like, oh. And then I'm saying, like, nobody's ever excited about the kicker, yet they're the ones who come in to win the game more times than not. You know, it's just a fucked up gig. Yeah. You know what I mean? It really is. I don't know. It's just crazy. And refereeing, umping is somewhat similar. You're going to get blamed. Like you said, nobody's ever going to say, that's the ump that made that great call that was super accurate. But everybody's going to say, that's the douchebag that missed the Saints call. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy, bro. It's so crazy, bro. But the world needs them, though. The world needs kickers. The world needs referees. It's like, what are you going to do? What are we going to do when the millennials are at the point to take over, Joe? What's going to happen, bro?
Well, it's going to be computerized.
Yeah, by then, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a millennial who doesn't want to be a referee, but needs a referee for his game. They're going to be like, you know what? We're just going to computerize all this shit, and nobody has to be the ref, and nobody has to be the kicker. They'll get like automated kickers too. It's going to be
just sit up from a booth. Yeah, sick. You're out. Yeah.
All right. Now that my rant is over, not sure how we got there. Let's talk about, let's continue some football talk because we're on a little roll here. We'll talk about baseball later, but Antonio Brown, Joe, let's get this out the way. So, Antonio Brown, we know, burns his feet. And Hard Knocks is coming out soon, right? The second episode should be out, tomorrow night or Tuesday night, whatever. And so Antonio Brown wasn't practicing because he showed some nasty-ass pictures of his feet that I still haven't looked at because I got a weird thing with feet. So I'm afraid to look at his feet. Because Paulie told me it was like foul and you gotta check it out. And anytime somebody tells me something like that, I know it's bad. So I'm like, and I don't like feet. I got a weird thing about it. So I'm like, I haven't looked at it yet. But from what I hear, it's disgusting. And he was burned from the cryogenic chamber or whatever. And now all of a sudden, he doesn't want to play. He's threatening to sit out or retire. He's threatening to retire if the Raiders don't let him use his no longer approved previous NFL helmet. Thoughts, Joe?
I just don't think he wants to play football. That's the first thing that comes to mind with me. I just don't think he really wants to play football anymore. He's trying to find every little which way not to get on this damn field. Like, I mean, apparently, I think Gruden's saying the right thing by saying, we're gonna support he put in his, you know what I mean, he spoke up for him and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. You go in this cryogenic thing and he's getting his foot hurt or whatever, and now like the thing with the helmet, like all of a sudden, like he don't wants to play with this helmet and stuff. The way I look at it is, why does the league not want him to wear this helmet? You know what I'm saying? I would want to know why. But if the league says this is why you can't wear it, then you know what? Stop trying to sneak it onto the practice field. That's what he did like 3 or 4 times.
Do you know if they've released the pictures yet? There's supposed to be pictures of his helmet that he like apparently got painted and like got it to look like a Raiders helmet. And I've seen all kinds of funny shit on Twitter, like all kinds of people posting funny pictures of what they think that exaggerating what they think the hat's going to be. Those things are awesome. But I kind of agree with you. There seems to be a thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand he wants his helmet, but at the same time, that does kind of seem like an excuse, right? Like, what if it's a little worse, Joe? Like, not for nothing, but like he's like showing signs of someone who is mentally ill, you know. And like the CTE thing is no joke. It's no laughing matter. Like, and I'm not even trying to say that maybe that's what it is. I guess it's a possibility, but that's not even my point. But I mean, doesn't he seem kind of like out of his mind a little bit? Like, not just here, but like he was on LeBron James' show, the barbershop show, something like that. I think it's on like Showtime or HBO or something like that. He was on there once, and like everybody else that came on that show, every other athlete that came on and kind of talked to LeBron, they all kind of gelled with him, and everybody in the room gelled. When he was on the show, he stood out in a weird way. It's hard for me to describe it, but he stood out, and he just seems like a very strange guy to begin with. So like, maybe he doesn't want to play football, or maybe he's just like crazy a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Man, these receivers, they all, I mean, Chad Johnson gets crazy at the end. Terrell Owens, like they have very short shelf life. All these premium receivers, you know what I mean? They do. Like all these diva receivers seem to have really short shelf lives. You know, I mean, think about it. Terrell Owens, Dez Bryant. You know, like they're out of the game. Like Dez is out of the game. He shouldn't be out of the game. He's better than that. You know, he's better. And it's just Terrell Owens should have played longer.
Yeah.
You know, there's just something in these guys where they just feel like every which way they're being slided.
Yeah.
And that they should be, everything should go through them.
Right.
You know, I mean, this year for the Steelers, for the Jets, and for the Raiders, they're all going to be intertwined. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is Brown going to do with the Raiders? How's that going to work? If it doesn't work good, that was the reason why. Maybe that's why the Steelers, you know, decayed. Bell, if he doesn't do good with the Jets and Connor blows up, well, then it's just the system.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if Bell's got a lot more pressure on him than almost anybody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, he's preaching to people now. He's literally preaching to other running back. Supposedly, he had a conversation with Saquon during that preseason game the Jets and Giants played, and then he tweeted to Saquon a picture of the two of them talking and said, "Don't forget our conversation." So like he's going around giving other people like advice, and like listen, from a player's perspective, I'm sure that's great. I don't have a problem with that. But like with that said, like you said, that's gonna bring a lot of pressure because now you got to perform. Like you did, if you want these teams to just pay up like the Jets did, then you need to reward the Jets and like highlight that it was a good move. Because if not, you're gonna make the Jets look like an idiot, and these teams will elect to go without, especially with the way James Conner has looked. And it's clear to me, like, I think Le'Veon Bell is great. I think he's going to help any team. I think he's awesome. I'm very excited to watch him on the Jets this year. But we know the Steelers system is just designed for a running back to work and to get heavy volume. Maybe that changes a little bit with Antonio Brown gone, but they do still have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's just becoming, you know, he's just been awesome. But realistically, I think, like, when Le'Veon Bell's gotten hurt in the past in Pittsburgh, we've seen like D'Angelo Williams, who could barely even make a team and just kill it, destroy every time. For daily fantasy sports, for DraftKings FanDuel, it was awesome. We made a ton of money. Every time he's hurt, you play the backup before everybody else realizes that the Steelers system is good. I didn't hesitate to play James Conner. Like right out the gate, I was like, no, this dude is going to get all his usage, and it's just going to, like, this is how the Steelers do. This is how they play. It doesn't matter who's in there.
Jalen Samuel. Jalen Samuel's later in the year.
You know what I mean?
He gets that spot start against the Raiders. He was the highest owned running back of the week. I mean, his price was like mid-price, but everybody knew he was going to get the volume.
Right, that's what they do. So the question I think for Le'Veon Bell, also speaking of which, he has a lot of pressure, but I don't know if he gets the same volume with the Jets. You know, like we got Gase, who's a quarterback guy, and maybe he'll get it differently. Maybe he'll run more routes. Maybe he'll catch more passes. But like, I don't know. And also, you have to wonder, like, if the Jets are playing from behind, like David Johnson, right? As great as he is, his team was constantly playing from behind, and that hurt his fantasy value, hurt it dearly. You know, he didn't get nearly as many opportunities as he did before. Eventually, they realized they had nothing, and they shut him down a little bit. But before that, you know, like that's the other part of it. But I agree. I think Le'Veon Bell has a lot of pressure right now. A lot to live up to right now. And, like, it's not looking good. The Steelers are looking like geniuses. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. They look like a genius with Antonio Brown, right? They look like, wow. Like, I don't know how you guys, like, people must think that Big Ben is like a saint. Like, I think a lot of people, myself included, used to think that Big Ben was a douchebag because it seemed like Antonio Brown don't like you for a reason. And then you listen to Antonio Brown and you're like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a little, you know, I see. Like, you are a big personality. You're different. You know what I mean? Did you like the blonde mustache still he was doing?
Who, Antonio Brown? He's just trying to be, you know, stand out from the crowd, I guess. That's it.
He definitely does stand out from the crowd. Everything he does. I mean, he's an amazing wide receiver. We can't take that away from him. He's in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the league. Like, if I had a choice, like, personality is not involved. You were just getting the player, like, straight up, the player itself. He's well, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. I do like Julio Jones a lot, but I think Antonio Brown.
That's what.
Yeah. Okay. I did forget about Julio, but Julio's also played, like, he plays indoors a lot. You know what I mean? Like, Antonio Brown's roughing in Pittsburgh all those years. You know.
Now he's got, and now, I mean, this is the thing. Like, if he goes to the Raiders and makes them, you know, 8-8, then yeah, man, then he really builds himself up. Makes Derek Carr back where he was, but I just don't see it. Like, he's already just starting off on a bad foot, and you just said, if you're like I'm a Charger fan, you know, you see this, you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. The Raiders just more and more just crap that they got to deal with. Oh, you want to do this? Great, perfect. Come, you know what I mean? Like, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Raiders have a lot more problems in their team than one player coming in is going to help. That's the thing. Their defense got to be built up from the ground up.
I know. I do like Gruden though. Like, on Hard Knocks, it's cool to watch Gruden coach. Like, he just seems like a cool coach. You know, he does. But I do agree. I think they have a lot to overcome, and Antonio Brown is just one piece that they have to figure out. In all honesty, Antonio Brown, what do you think Antonio Brown does? Like, say the helmet deal doesn't get approved. Do you really think he's going to retire? Like, he's came out and said, like he said years ago, I think before the season, before he even signed the contract, he was like, I don't have to play football. I have enough money. I've already made a lot of money, and like I don't need this. Like, I can do other things. And he did say all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think he'll ever do that. I think maybe he'll finish out the season. Like, I just don't think he's just going to quit though. Yeah. Right now. Like, I think he's going to finish out the season.
That's just wild.
At least.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray looked pretty impressive, I'd say, in his preseason game. We don't want to overreact. So did what's his name, Giants quarterback Jones. Looked awesome too in one series, but going into, like, from a fantasy perspective, he's gaining more and more traction, more and more steam, and if he continues to show these flashes during preseason, like, he's going to fly up everywhere. I think as far as, like, DFS goes, Daily Fantasy Sports, he's already going to be one of the highest owned quarterbacks going into week 1, I think, because of his price, everything else. And it's season long, dude. Like, how far is this guy creeping up? Because I think, to me, this fantasy football season is kind of strange. Like, you know, every year you're dying for the number 1 pick, right? You want as close to the top as you can get because you really, really want a David Johnson or a Bell. Or this year, especially assuming that we're doing a snake draft style, like, I want the last, like, I want the back. I want to be in the back of the pack. If I can get me in like an 8th, 9th, 10th, or something like that in a 12-man league, I might even take 12 because it might be more. First of all, I think it's a situation where you can kind of let other people make the mistakes all the way through and then kind of see a more narrow pool of what you're left with and then make the best decision of the guys available. On top of that, you quickly get a turnaround. You get another pick. You get to stack that real quick. Now you got 2 guys. And by the time the number 1 pick comes, not only do you have a number 1 pick that's probably not like as secure of a number 1 pick as we've had in some of the years past, but now you're not getting to pick again for way too long. You're missing out on all the depth. So this is weird. Like in my fantasy league this year, I've gotten like 8th and 9th, and like I played in a 12-man league. I got like 8th and 9th, and it sucked the last 2 years. This year, I'm hoping I get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something. Put me in the back so I can just grab 2 dudes, let them make some mistakes, and like make the decision for me almost, because I don't really trust the guys that are projected to go number 1 overall. Like Zeke, of course, he is dealing with a contract thing. I believe Dallas is just going to pay him. That's just Jerry Jones' style. Like I do think Dallas is just going to pay Zeke and he'll play. So I think he's fine. But like, there's a lot of really good options is my point. You know, there's so much we don't know going into week 1. So more than usual. Even guys like James Conner, who like I love, we don't necessarily know that they won't try to do more of a split. Conner did have some injury issues in the past. I think he got hurt at one point last year. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so like did. What do you think?
Samuel.
Where are you hoping that you get to pick from?
Well, in my main league, I have the 7th. I have the 7th pick, but it's a keeper league, so it's a little bit different. But personally, if I was drafting, I would want my best spot would be the 4 spot. Is assuming that everybody's healthy and in camp, meaning Zeke's in camp and everybody. To get the 4 spot means that you're like assured one of the top 4 running backs, being Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara, or the 4th one. I'm missing. Zeke. So whichever one of those 4 or fall to you at 4 is like the one to give. Because after that, I feel like there's a drop off.
Right.
You know, either go with Hopkins or Adams or Julio as the receivers. You could go with David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell as another running back. Or you go with, maybe if you wanted to really be a little ballsy, you go with Travis Kelce.
Oof.
Now, and I know the reason why, I know you're going to say woof, right? There's something about fantasy football, CK, in season long called position scarcity, okay? You have to play 12. You have to play a tight end. Everybody's got to play a tight end. Like Travis Kelce is so head and shoulders above everybody else, except for maybe Zach Ertz or Kittle, that like if you get one of them, and I personally think that Kittle and Ertz are not going to have as good a year as they did last year. Kittle, I think we saw his ceiling year. We saw him with a bad quarterback, and he still just absolutely blew up. Now Garoppolo's back, but there's more weapons. There's a better running game. The team should be better, and I just don't think Kittle is going to be as productive. And then you got Ertz they like Dallas Goedert on the other side a lot, and they got, the D-Jax is back. They got Jordan Howard running the ball. Alshon Jeffrey's going to get the ball. There's more balls to go around in Philly. You're going to have Carson Wentz back for another year. So to me, Travis Kelce is the head and shoulders #1 tight end at the position. So, if maybe after Hopkins at like 6, you can get the #1 and just like lock him in there. And it's not that bold of a stance, especially in a PPR league.
But bro, to take him like 7th, like I feel like most people won't do that. Like I agree with everything you said. I agree with everything you said, but like I would rather bet on the fact that nobody would do that and also not do that and hope that he's still around my next turn, or hope that that's my point about like, see, I think like say you have the first overall pick, I could see him being like your number 2 pick because so many guys are going to be taken after that. So you can either fuck around with like another number 2 receiver somewhere, or take a number 1 receiver for a terrible team, or because all the running backs probably going to be gone, the ones that are decent. Or like you said, go ahead and just lock it out and just grab yourself the best tight end of the game, who's granted, if he stays, as long as he stays healthy, is like guaranteed the volume, right? Like they're always going to throw to Travis Kelce. Like he's gonna get the ball thrown to him. So that's interesting, man.
It's something to think about. I'm not saying I necessarily would in a 12 team at that point, at like 6 or 7, but to me at that point, that's when I start to consider him.
Yeah, I know. I hear you, man.
You know what I'm saying? Where I know by the end of the first round, if he's still available at like 10 or 11 or 12, I'm snatching him up rather than get somebody like Joe Mixon or I like him more than Beckham. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just you have that like just safe, just piece in there. Boom, got it. Lock it down. That's why Kelsey is so high on my board. Guys that also moving up to me and my board this week is got to be Nick Chubb with the news of Duke Johnson being traded. I feel like Chubb is just going to get that Saquon Barkley treatment, all the goal line carries, all the passes out of the backfield. They got Landry and Beckham now with the receivers. Antonio Callaway is also out first 4 games. And then they trade Duke Johnson. So to me, it feels like they are really putting all their eggs in the Nick Chubb basket to where it's like even when Kareem Hunt comes back in week 10, that's after the bye in week 10, if the Browns are anywhere near competitive and Chubb is healthy, like Kareem Hunt's not going to just take this job away from Nick Chubb.
I mean, if he's playing well, yeah.
If he is, then they would have held on to Duke Johnson.
Well, Duke Johnson requested a trade. He didn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they could acquiesce to it because they really who's running the ball behind Nick Chubb right now?
I don't even know.
I'll wait.
You can wait all night. I don't even know.
No, wait all night. That's my point. If that means they're putting all their eggs in Chubb's basket, they're going to give it to whoever else just for a week or two to whatever, right? And if they didn't really, really believe in Chubb, they would have kept Duke Johnson.
Right.
That's my point. They would have kept him if they didn't think they weren't going to just be all in on Chubb. That's why I'm not really worried about when Kareem Hunt comes back.
No, I'm with you on that. Like I'm not terribly worried.
People are scared of Chubb because of that. That's the thing, and that's what I'm not. I'm just saying I'm not.
The way I see it is, if Nick Chubb is playing bad when that happens, then yeah, it's that's not good. If Nick Chubb is playing good, I agree. Why would they change if he's playing well and doing everything? Why would you not? His volume is gonna go down some, I'm sure, but I don't think enough to make a significant impact. I think when the game's on the line, he'll continue to get his volume. But even so, like you have 10 weeks of that, like 10 weeks of Nick Chubb volume. Like at that point, he could pay off, and like maybe you find some schmuck on your team. I mean, in your league. To trade him like right before Kareem Hunt's active or something, you know what I mean? Like maybe like week 6 or 7. Like, I'm good with this, bro. I'll trade you him for, a couple receivers, etc., etc. I'm with it, Joe. I have to talk about my New York Mets for a second.
All right, let's do it.
The run is real. I'm getting vibes. I'm getting vibes from the World Series here. Not going crazy just yet, but the same vibes, the same magic. I'll admit a hint of it dwindled today when they lost to the Nationals on Sunday. But the games, like, they fell behind in all 3 of those games. That was kind of the Mets style that year. But they came back, right? Made a move at the trade deadline. It was Cespedes that year. It's Stroman this year, who's not as big of an impact, I don't think. I think he's very good, but I don't think, like, we already had good pitching. Like, you replace Vargas, that's cool. But, like, that's pretty awesome. But, like, Cespedes, come on. Like, what he did for the team when he came, it's not even comparable. But I'm getting the vibe. Now, the issue is that the National League wild card is super tight, dude. Super tight. We've got the Nationals currently holding the wild card spot, I believe. And then there's, like, I think the St. Louis technically has the second. And then it's like Milwaukee half a game back. The Mets 1 game back. Philly 1.5. Arizona 3. San Francisco 4. San Diego 5. Even the Padres are still like 6.5, which is not great. I mean, compared to the American League, where it's like Cleveland, Minnesota are duking out for first place, and then you got Tampa Bay who's got the second spot. Then it's just Oakland 1.5, Boston 7.5. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's the race. In your opinion, your honest opinion, Joe. You know I'm a Met fan, but I want to know the truth, bro. Because like as a Met fan, I'm getting the feeling again. I'm getting the feeling. You know what I'm saying? And like, but I need to know if it's real. Who do you think has the best shot to win the 2 spots in the National League wild card?
Let me look at some things real quick. 1, 6. Well, to say that they don't play any of the teams ahead of them would be an understatement because they do. To me, if I'm the Mets, I'm saying fuck the wild card. I don't want to play the Dodgers in the first round. I'm going for the goddamn division because I want to play the Central team. I don't want to play the wild card. And it literally starts on Tuesday for the Mets. You got 3 games in Atlanta. You guys sweep Atlanta, then everybody's saying not talking about the wild card anymore. They're talking about the division because now you're only 4 games back. With 6 weeks to go. And you still got 6 games against the Braves, all 6 of which are at home, by the way. All 6 games remaining against the Braves after this series in Atlanta are at home, including the last 3 games of the season in New York. Then you still have to play on your schedules because you got to look at the schedule at this point. You still got to play the Cubbies. Okay, another team you might have to play you got the Phillies, Washington, the D-backs, the Reds, and you got to play the Dodgers to see how the Dodgers, you rank up against the Dodgers in a 3-game set. It's all in front of them. They've beaten the teams that they're supposed to beat. Okay, now let's see how you do in Atlanta this week. Because if you look at their schedule coming up, at Atlanta, okay, that's tough. At KC, okay, whatever, right? Then the next 9 games. Cleveland with 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Cubs, and then at Philly, at Washington. Right there. That's where their season's made. If they're still in it after that, when they're coming home for 10 games against the Phillies, the D-backs, and the Dodgers, then we can really talk. But these next 2 weeks are really, really gonna tell a lot about this team. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I really like you looked at their schedule and like, okay, everybody believing in stuff. Okay, they got a tough schedule ahead.
They have the hardest of all the teams chasing with them in the wild card. They by far have the toughest. The Brewers, I think, have the second toughest in terms of opponent win percentage. The Mets by far have the toughest schedule at all. They do have a lot of home games. They have a lot of home games, and they've been very good at home. But they've got a tough road, like you said. Atlanta a bunch of times, the Nationals still a bunch of times. Philly, the Dodgers, the Cubs. They've got some tough opponents. But they got the Indians too. They got to play the Indians.
Indians, Braves, Cubs. In one little 2-week span or 3-week span, they got to play the Indians, Braves, Cubs, Phillies, Nats, Phillies again, 4 with the D-backs, 3 with the Dodgers. And then they got to go to Colorado for 3. Got to go to Colorado, which you know how that is. Coors. You know what I'm saying? Go to Cincinnati, another hitter's ballpark for you know what I mean? It is not going to be easy what they're going to do. And I just I honestly think you're going to look back on the season and that was a fun 3 weeks back in January and end of January and mid-August. That was a fun 3-4 weeks. We kind of got us to have funny. Tulak was all into it and everything. Everybody's a little bit funny. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're going to look back at. Okay, yeah, next year, you know what I mean? Because if you think about it, if they got the wild card and they got to play the Dodgers, somebody's already. You could just hear. I hear on Twitter these Mets fans now. They're like, "Well, DeGrom's better than Ryu, and Syndergaard's just as good as Kershaw, and Buehler and Stroman, they'll be right equal with each other." And I'm like, okay, first of all, let's not. I didn't even want to start talking to this person because he was trying to say that Buehler and Stroman were equal.
God.
Okay, I'll give you. I'd rather take DeGrom over Ryu, even though Ryu's having a great year. I'll take DeGrom, but Kershaw, I'm taking Kershaw over Syndergaard, and I'm definitely taking Buehler over Stroman. And then it's your number 4 guy. The Dodgers have got whatever rookie you want to get, Stripling, May, whatever against Max.
We got Wheeler in there.
And Wheeler.
Yeah.
And Wheeler. I like Wheeler. I'm a Wheeler guy. So you know what I mean? So,
I agree with you though. I think the Mets and this is not me being a Mets fan, it's me being honest. Like I think the Mets have the best pitcher in Jacob deGrom. But from there, the rotation, I think the Dodgers in the long run haven't beat. I think where we beat you is Wheeler's matchup, assuming that Stroman is ahead, right? Like assuming that Stroman is, because I honestly at this point I like Stroman, but I agree with you. If he's matched up with Bueller, it's Bueller. Done.
But in a 5-game series, they're not doing
it. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. So it comes down to the top
so
three.
It's either going to be Wheeler coming in one of those other games.
Wheeler. Well, that's the thing. They don't know if it's Stroman yet. It's either Wheeler or Stroman, but it's still tough. Like that's a question that is like a lot of sports radio around here locally. Like they're all addressing. They don't know who the number 3 is. Like just out of like name value, you would think it's Stroman. I mean, we brought him here, right? But at the same time, like Wheeler has been a very good pitcher for the Mets when he's been healthy. You know, he's been a little rocky at times this season, but he's also been pretty good. He's one of their better ones. Like, but even aside from that, I agree with you. I'd Kershaw over Syndergaard right now. Bueller over Stroman or Wheeler. I think Bueller's just that nasty.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, right?
I'd take Bueller over Syndergaard.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay. I would take Bueller.
Absolutely. Bueller is just phenomenal. So, like, I think the Mets have the best overall pitcher, but the Dodgers win that battle. If you're going full 5, the Dodgers win that battle, especially when it comes to. We also probably have the weakest pitcher in Steven Matz. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. We could talk about the pitchers all alone, but then we haven't even started talking about how it compares to the offense.
Right. Oh no. That's really a comparison there.
You know
well,
what
it depends,
I mean?
bro. Look, tell me not. I've been saying this on the Wise streams, and like you and I haven't done Wise streams together in a while, obviously. But I've been saying I think the Dodgers may be the only team this season, at least, who got worse. A competitive team who got worse at the All-Star break. Going out there and getting Tyler White and some of these dudes, dude. Like, I'm just like, I think the Dodgers made themselves a little bit worse. Right?
Yeah, they've been striking out a lot. You know what I mean? They've been not doing very well. I think they're just, it's like
they're still very good.
They've already got Division 1. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's already won. Like literally in LA, they were saying they could clinch by Labor Day. The division, their magic number is like 27 right now or something.
Right. No, it's insane.
Magic number already? It's like, so you can imagine, that's why what happened on Friday night, you almost want to be like, Archie Bradley's got to be the dumbest person ever. Did you see what happened?
What happened?
Did you hear what happened? So Carson Kelly hits a 2-run home run off of Kenley Jansen and the bad Dodgers bullpen. Oh, look at that. The Dodgers bullpen giving up a blown save again. Let's not even talk about that, CK. Let's not talk about that. Okay, so, and then in extra innings, Kelly hits another home run. So they're ahead 3-2. Archie Bradley comes in, who's literally had 10 blown saves against the Dodgers in his career, probably. Right. He pitches against Pollock, and he hits Pollock, but I guess the umpire said that he swung and it hit his bat or something. And Pollock said, no, it hit me. And I guess it went to replay and they said, no, you're out. So Pollock, I guess, took a little bit too long getting off the field. And Bradley kind of said something to Pollock and Pollock kind of turned around and whatever. Remember, they played together in Arizona together. So at the end of the game, they win. Bradley strikes out Will Smith to win the game. And he basically looks at the Dodgers dugout and says fuck you to the Dodgers dugout. And just started talking to the Dodgers dugout. And the Dodgers what are you doing? What are you doing? And it was funny. Kershaw jumps over the railing. And as soon as Kershaw did it, the whole team went. It was like once Kershaw did it, it was like, okay, if he's doing it, he's our leader, the whole team just went out. And it was
status right there.
And then Robbie Ray comes out of the dugout in street clothes, or he's wearing workout clothes. And Roberts thinks Robbie Ray is one of the trainers. And Robert starts going after Robbie Ray, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck? It was funny.
No, I cannot believe I haven't seen this. I gotta look at that shit, man. I gotta get this shit. This is insane.
And then it was you're thinking to yourself, you're Archie Bradley's talking shit. You're okay, good. You guys won now. Now you're only 17 games back. Okay. Bro. You know what I mean? It's
I have got to look at this.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Diamondbacks, Dodgers.
Robert didn't know that it was Robbie Ray.
Bro.
He thought that it was a trainer.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
so
to check that
that's
out.
what happened on Friday, and the Dodgers went out winning the next two games.
I'm gonna
So
have to. I'm gonna have to check that out. Before we get out of here, Joe, it is August 11th. Is a Sunday night that we're doing this, and SummerSlam is, I think, still underway. I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it, but we did hear. You did inform me that Seth Rollins went over on Brock Lesnar.
mhm.
Thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, I just think they're trying to build up Seth Rollins to be the biggest star in the company. They're trying to make him the torch and have him run with it. So you got to have him beat the biggest guy, have him go over. Because I was kind of like they took the belt off of Rollins and then they put it back on him just now. I didn't think that they were going to do that. Usually I thought Brock was going to have it now till WrestleMania and then somebody's going to beat him at WrestleMania
Right.
again. Hopefully that means that Brock is going to be gone for a while, and they can build up some other storylines and stuff and make something a little bit more interesting.
Brock is definitely a hate it or love it kind of situation, right? Like, I know, like, either people really, really love when he's out there. It's like Goldberg. And most people loved Goldberg, granted. But, like, either you love the guy or you just hated it when he came out there. Or you just felt like, oh, this guy's ruining the show. Or this guy is, like, whatever the case may be. But, yeah, kind of interesting. But I agree. I think Seth Rollins is, like, the company man right now. He's taking, like, the Triple H route. Not saying he's, like, banging WWE family. I'm just saying he's taking the company man route. He's gonna play her.
Well, he's banging the man. He's banging Becky Lynch.
I guess
so
that's close enough.
Yeah, I mean, basically is. So they're like the power couple. So yeah, he's the man. I guess they're going with him, and we'll see. I think they may have took the belt off him because that belt's on Raw. And SmackDown's going to be on Fox on Thursday nights or Friday nights. So bring Brock Lesnar to SmackDown and Fox, and people might watch because you have Brock Lesnar on Fox on Friday night SmackDown in October.
That is true.
Have him go after the WWE title that Kofi Kingston retained tonight.
Interesting.
That's what I think they might go with it. I that's the only thing I would do if you want to keep Brock around. If not, tell him to go back to Minnesota and just go to your ranch
chop some
and
wood or something.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, go back to UFC.
Just picture that guy just chopping wood all day when he's bored. Like the in between time. He's got the dopest fucking schedule, man. Like what he gets paid per show is just insane. For what he does. Don't get me wrong. Like he's obviously an athlete, and he gets paid a lot of money when he does UFC fights too. So that's what he's worth. He's proven that. But what a fucking sick schedule. Like it's sick. And I feel like he's that guy that like because he's so aggressive and guys get so aggressive with him. He almost always gets cold clocked at some point, like a legit punch to the mouth. It always happens to him at some point. You always see like a cut over his eye or like. And we're talking about when guys gimmick themselves, they always do it by the forehead, like do somewhere visible. He always gets hurt. He shows color from places that like not supposed to. Like his cheekbone gets busted open, or the bridge of his nose. Like he gets it, man. He really does, bro. Like I'm sure as much as he dishes, I'm sure he does. But yeah. Anyway, Joe, I think that's gonna do it for this week or today. We'll see if we bang another episode this week or not. But it was fun, man. I'm curious to see how things unfold. I mean, next week we'll definitely try to incorporate what week 2 in the preseason will be underway. Maybe we'll have more information on some of these holdouts, things like that, and we'll go a little further into fantasy. I definitely want to ask you. The kind of the same questions that we've been talking about, and see if anything's changing as we get some of this information. Right? Like we just did a show with Paulie where we weren't so sure about Zeke as the holdout. Now we're getting a vibe that Zeke is probably going to get a new contract and play. So he's seeing all of a sudden he seems way safer. So
I just think he just didn't want to go to the training camp.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys just don't want to do training camp anymore.
I hear. Well, to their credit, some of these guys already have like programs in their minds. They're like, I have my own program that I would rather do, and then I'm already doing. So it's like I don't want to do your program. I want to do mine because your priorities are this, and this, and this guy's priority is my longevity or whatever.
They just don't want to go to 2-a-day practice.
It's getting worse and worse, bro. You see Quinnen Williams on the Jets. They asked him, like, do you have, like, what off-season program do you use? And he said he has his own. And he's like, oh, yeah. He goes, yeah, man, I don't see why you would pay for it. You got YouTube. That's what he said. He goes, you got YouTube. I don't see why you would pay somebody else. Just go on YouTube. I love this dude, bro. This dude is hilarious, man.
Hey, Quinnen Williams, sign up for the WiseTake Nation.
That's what
I
say.
say.
Baby. Let's go. Showing the nation, Quinn. He'd love it here, man. He would fit in just fine with us, man. He would fit in just fine with us. He's the man. But anyway, Joe, appreciate it, man. Fun as always. We'll talk to you during the week. We know, Joey does a lot of our baseball and football DFS content over at WiseTake.com. If you are interested in playing FanDuel or DraftKings, or if you do play FanDuel or DraftKings, go check us out. WiseTake.com. It will make you a better DFS player. Time to make some money off some sports. I like to look at us as sports investors. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Investors, but yeah, we're more professors too.
We teach. We do teach. You reach, I teach. And we have a sale for the NFL season pass, so make sure you take advantage of it, because the NFL full season, you get the entire NFL full season for $99.99 after promo code Early Owl NFL 2019. One word, Early Owl NFL 2019. You get it for $99. The regular price is $149.99. Week 1 of the NFL season, it will be $149.99. This offer expires September 1st. We may do one little last chance kind of deal, but it won't be as cheap as $99.99. So if you are interested in playing, if you do play, you want to make some money this NFL season, go check us out. Joey, anything to close before we get up out of here?
No, everybody have a good week. I'm sure there'll be stuff to talk about. Week 2 of the NFL, there'll be more players, playing a little bit longer. We'll be able to get more of a feel what's going on, and hopefully, pray to God, there is no big injuries.
For sure. For Patio Joe, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Peace.
Yeah.